Process Safety Management of Highly Hazardous and Explosive Chemicals. 29 CFR 1910.119. Clearly Understanding the Standard. Susan Harwood Grant History. Grants are awarded to provide training and education programs for employers and employees on the recognition, avoidance, and prevention of safety and health hazards in their workplace. PSM was chosen given the clear need: past disasters, current year disasters, perceived weakness in PSM program. GTRI PSM Susan Harwood Grant Program. GTRI is offering 6 one-day courses around the southeastern United States, 4 one-day in-depth courses around the United States. Goals of the one-day course: understand why Process Safety Management, PSM, was promulgated. Understand that even with PSM, catastrophes are still occurring. Understand who is covered and exemptions. Understand the team process to developing a PSM program. Understand each of the elements of a properly designed and implemented program and how to begin the process. Understand the basics of how PSM and RMP work together to protect the workforce and surrounding communities. Summary of the one-week course. This is an in-depth study of the requirements of the standard. Students will actually learn through a real-life case study how to design each element of the Process Safety Management Standard requirements. Students will also review the basics of EPA Risk Management Plan, RMP. Rules of the course. This is an open discussion course. Relax and learn. Ask questions. Participate in discussions. Share experiences. Share best practices. Enjoy yourself. Why did OSHA develop PSM? Bipole, India, 1984. 2,000 deaths. Isocyanate release. Pasadena, Texas, 1989. 23 deaths, 132 injuries. Petroleum explosion. Cincinnati, Ohio, 1990. 2 deaths. Explosion. Sterlington, Louisiana, 1991. 8 deaths, 128 injuries. Chemical release. In 1991, OSHA and EPA respectively released the standards, PSM and RPM, that applies to those companies that are affected by the standards. Process Safety Management is a regulation promulgated by OSHA intended to prevent an accident like the 1984 Bhopal disaster and to prevent release of toxic, radioactive, flammable, or explosive chemicals. Not only BSM, but RPM. A great many industrial facilities must comply with OSHA's Process Safety Management, PSM, regulations, as well as the quite familiar EPA Risk Management Program, RPM. Regulation, Title 40 CFR, Part 68. PSM versus RMP. What's the difference? PSM, like HAZCOM, protects the workforce, protects contractors, protects visitors to the facility, basically protects the workplace. RPM, like SARA Title III, protects the community, protects the general public around the facility. Protects adjacent facilities such as schools and hospitals. The standard was promulgated in 1991. Is it working? BP Products, Texas City, January 2005. 15 workers killed, 170 injured, major property damage, 21 million in fines. Application 1910.119A. What facilities are covered? Those who use chemicals in Appendix A list of highly hazardous chemicals, toxic, and reactive mandatory, contains a listing of toxic and reactive highly hazardous chemicals which present a potential for a catastrophic event at or above the threshold quantity. Example: chemical threshold quantity, TQ. Anhydrous ammonia, 10,000 pounds. Chlorine, 1,000 pounds. What facilities are covered? A process which involves a flammable liquid or gas, as defined in 1910.1200 C of this part, on site in one location, in a quantity of 10,000 pounds, or 4,535 kilograms, or more. Important interpretation. 2007, June 11, 2007, OSHA defines on-site in one location for process safety management of highly hazardous chemical standards. OSHA interprets on-site in one location to mean that the standard applies when a threshold quantity of a highly hazardous chemical, HHC, exists within an area under the control of an employer or group of affiliated employers. It also applies to any group of vessels that are interconnected or in separate vessels that are close enough in proximity that the HHC could be involved in a potential catastrophic release. What types of industries? Industries that process chemicals such as industrial organics and inorganics, paints, pharmaceuticals, adhesives, sealants, and fibers. Petrochemical facilities, paper mills, food processing with anhydrous ammonia over the TQ. Exclusions. There are exclusions. An employer is exempt from the requirements of PSM when a threshold quantity of flammable liquids is stored in atmospheric tanks and transferred without the benefit of chilling or refrigeration. Hydrocarbon fuels used solely for workplace consumption as a fuel, e.g., propane used for comfort heating, gasoline for vehicle refueling. If such fuels are not part of a process containing another highly hazardous chemical covered by this standard. Exclusions continued. Retail facilities, oil or gas well drilling or servicing operations, or normally unoccupied remote facilities. Definitions. Definitions. Atmospheric tank means a storage tank which has been designed to operate at pressures from atmospheric through 0.5 psig, pounds per square inch gauge, 3.45 kPa. Boiling point means the boiling point of a liquid at a pressure of 14.7 pounds per square inch absolute. PSIA 760 millimeters. Catastrophic release means a major uncontrolled emission, fire, or explosion involving one or more highly hazardous chemicals that presents serious danger to employees in a workplace. Definitions continued. Facility means the buildings, containers, or equipment which contain a process. Highly hazardous chemical means a substance possessing toxic, reactive, flammable, or explosive properties and specified by paragraph A1 of this section. Hot work means work involving electric or gas welding, cutting, brazing, or similar flame or spark producing operations. Normally unoccupied remote facilities means a facility which is operated, maintained, or serviced who visit the facility only periodically to check its operation and to perform necessary operating or maintenance tasks. No employees are permanently stationed at the facility. Definitions continued. Process means any activity involving a highly hazardous chemical, including any use, storage, manufacturing, handling, or the on-site movement of such chemicals or combination of these activities. For purposes of this definition, any group or vessels which are interconnected and separate vehicles which are located such that highly hazardous chemicals could be involved in a potential release shall be considered a single process. Replacement in kind means a replacement which satisfies the design specification. Trade secret means any confidential formula, pattern, process, device, information, or compilation of information that is used in an employer's business. Employee participation. Now that we are required to comply, then what? First, form a team in your company, i.e., process engineers, operators, safety, maintenance, management, consultants. Remember, you can't do it alone. Second, form a plan. Determine responsibilities, duties, reporting, document control, progress reports, tracking changes. Third, review scope of project, process safety information, equipment in the process hazard analysis, operating procedure, employee training, training contractors, pre-setup safety review, mechanical integrity of equipment, management of change, incident investigation, emergency preparedness, compliance audits, trade secrets. Now that we are required to comply, then what? Let's begin. In the next session, we will begin to explore each element of the standard and what is required to comply. Please see the diagram attached to this slide. This completes the process safety management presentation.